Have you ever felt lost, truly lost, where everything around you seems unfamiliar and your trusted tools suddenly fail you? Today we're diving into a story about a young adventurer named Leo, a 12-year-old boy whose love for exploration was as vast as the world he wanted to discover. His story isn't just about a walk in the woods. It's about finding our way when our compasses stop working, both literally and metaphorically. It's a tale that reminds us of the incredible power we hold within ourselves, a power we often forget we have. Leo's heart was always full of adventure. While other kids might spend their time with games, Leo found his joy in the rustling of leaves, the whisper of the wind, and the secret stories that nature told to those who were willing to listen. He loved the feeling of his feet on an unknown path, the thrill of not knowing what was around the next corner. Every new place was a new chapter in his personal book of adventures. One bright, sunny morning, the kind of morning that just begs for an adventure, Leo decided to explore the ancient forest that bordered his village. It was a place of legends and whispers, a place he had only ever seen from a distance. With a sense of purpose, he packed his small, sturdy backpack. Inside, he carefully placed a bottle of cool water, a delicious sandwich his mother had made, but a trusty flashlight just in case, and his most prized possession, an old brass compass. It had been a gift from his grandfather, and to Leo, it was a symbol of every great explorer who had ever lived. With a wide, confident smile, he waved goodbye to his house and stepped into the embrace of the forest. The moment he entered, it was like stepping into another world. The trees towered above him like gentle giants, their leaves forming a beautiful green canopy that filtered the sunlight into dancing patterns on the forest floor. The air was fresh and smelled of damp earth and pine. Birds sang their cheerful melodies from hidden branches, creating a natural symphony that made Leo's heart soar with excitement. He felt like he was exactly where he was meant to be. He followed a narrow, winding path, his eyes wide with wonder at everything he saw. He noticed the intricate patterns of a spider's web, glistening with morning dew. He spotted a family of squirrels chasing each other up a massive oak tree. The forest was alive, and Leo felt like a welcome guest. He walked for what felt like an hour, completely absorbed in the beauty around him, feeling the satisfying crunch of leaves and twigs under his boots. He felt strong, capable, and completely in control of his little expedition. But then, something changed. He pulled out his compass just to check his direction, a habit he had practiced many times. He looked down at the familiar face of the compass, expecting to see the steady needle pointing north. Instead, the needle was behaving erratically. It spun wildly in a circle, then stopped abruptly, then twitched and spun again. Leo tapped it gently, thinking it might just be stuck. But nothing changed. The needle refused to settle. It was broken. A small knot of unease began to form in his stomach. He stopped walking and looked around. The path he had been following seemed to have disappeared. All around him, the trees looked identical. The comforting forest suddenly felt vast and confusing. Every direction seemed the same as the last. For the first time that day, a sliver of fear pierced through his excitement. His heart started beating a little faster. "What do I do now?" he whispered to the silent trees. He was alone. His best tool had failed him, and he was lost. The initial wave of panic was strong. He felt his hands get a little clammy and his breath became shallow. He wanted to run, to shout for help, but he knew that would only make things worse. And then a voice echoed in his mind. It wasn't a real voice, but the memory of his father's calm and steady words he had heard many times before. "When you feel lost, Leo, the first thing you must do is stay calm. Panic is the real enemy. Just be still and listen." Taking his father's advice to heart, Leo found a mossy log and sat down. He closed his eyes, shutting out the confusing sea of green around him. He took a deep, slow breath in and then let it out just as slowly. He did it again and again, feeling his racing heart begin to slow down to a more normal rhythm. He focused on stillness, on pushing the fear away and making space for thought. Then he began to listen. Really listen. At first, all he could hear was the rustling of the leaves as a gentle breeze moved through the treetops. He heard the distant caw of a crow, focused harder, tuning his ears to the more subtle sounds of the forest, and then he heard it. It was faint at first, a gentle, almost musical murmur. It was a sound he knew well. It's a sound of running water. A river. He exclaimed softly, a surge of hope washing over him. Rivers were like natural roads. They always led somewhere. A new sense of determination filled him. He stood up and started walking slowly and carefully in the direction of the sound. There was no path here, so he had to push aside low-hanging branches and step over fallen logs. It was more challenging than his earlier walk, but the sound of the water grew steadily louder with each step, guiding him, encouraging him forward. It was his new compass. After a few minutes of careful navigation, the trees began to thin, and bright sunlight broke through. And there it was, a small, sparkling river. The water was crystal clear, flowing peacefully over smooth stones. The sight was more beautiful than any he had seen that day. It was a lifeline. And sitting there on the riverbank holding a simple fishing rod was an old man. He had a peaceful look on his face, his eyes focused on the water. The man looked up as Leo approached, and his weathered face broke into a kind and welcoming smile. He didn't look surprised to see a young boy emerge from the dense woods. "You look a little lost, young man," he said, his voice warm and gentle. Leo, feeling a huge wave of relief, nodded. He walked closer and explained his adventure, telling the man about his excitement and how his trusted compass had suddenly broken, leaving him stranded. The old man listened patiently, and when Leo finished, he let out a soft, gentle laugh. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It wasn't a laugh that made fun of him, but one that was full of understanding. "Ah yes, that happens sometimes," he said. "The best of tools can fail us when we least expect it. But you don't need to worry. You did the right thing." He then pointed down the river with his free hand. "If you follow this river, it flows right past the edge of the village. It will lead you home." Leo's heart filled with gratitude. He felt safe again. The fear was completely gone, replaced by a warm feeling of relief. He thanked the old man profusely. The man simply smiled and nodded, turning his attention back to his fishing line. As Leo began his walk along the riverbank, with the familiar sounds of the village slowly coming into earshot, he thought about his experience. He realized he had learned something incredibly important that day. He had started his adventure relying completely on his tool, his compass. When it broke, he felt helpless. But then, by calming himself and using his own senses, by listening to the world around him, he had found his own way. I had found a different kind of guide, one that came from within. The journey back was filled with a new kind of confidence. He had not just survived being lost, he'd found a deeper strength in himself. He learned that sometimes the most powerful tools we have aren't the ones we carry in our pockets, but the ones we carry in our hearts and minds. Calmness, observation, and the simple act of listening. And that was a lesson more valuable than any compass. Thank you for joining me on Leo's journey today. If his story resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories that inspire and remind us of the strength we all possess. We'll see you in the next one.